There is noise that you can hear, and then there's noise you can see. Visual noise is distracting. You know what it's like when you're meeting someone in a public place. You get there and you look around the sea of faces trying to find the person that you're meeting. It's distracting, and after a while it's mentally taxing trying to spot them in the crowd. And that's the last thing we want our audience to experience when they're watching slides during our presentation. Slides that are visually noisy can be hard work for your audience to understand. While they try to read your slide and listen to you talking at the same time, you lose their attention and tax their brains. Rather than enhance your presentation, a noisy slide undermines you as a presenter. The problem is, it doesn't matter how good your message is if no one's listening. Let me give you an example. This slide was shown to a senior leadership team by a marketing executive trying to pitch the idea of how important their brand was. I changed it to look like this. In the second slide, you can grab my point pretty quickly. The concept is clear and it allows me to then talk to my audience about the concept. This slide uses the suit model ideas of being simple, uncluttered and impactful. And depending on what I said to set this slide up before I showed it, the timing could also be important to create impact. At this point, you might be thinking, well, how am I going to remember what to say if it's not on the slide? Well, don't worry about forgetting what to say. There's another place to put all of your notes, and we'll discuss that in the next video. But let's get back to the slide. As you can see, the first slide is visually noisy. If you presented this slide, two things would happen. Your audience would start reading the words on the slide, and the second thing is they'd stop listening to you. When this happens, you've lost your audience's attention. Of course, the number one goal in a presentation is to keep the audience's attention on you, the presenter. Here's another example of a noisy slide. This slide has a lot of detail that doesn't need to be there, and it's hard to decipher what the point really is. So I changed it to look like this. You can see quite easily that the point is we grew our figures again by 13%. If you compare the two slides side by side, you can easily see the difference in noise and readability. Again, this slide meets the simple to understand and uncluttered elements of the suit model. Visual noise distracts our audience away from us because they can't read and listen at the same time. The solution is to reduce visual noise so our audience can quickly grab the idea on the slide. This is not a new concept or technique. Advertising professionals have been using these ideas for years to grab our attention with billboards. Let's look at a concept I call the billboard test. Billboards are things that you see as you're passing by in your car, on a bus or a train. And they're designed to do two things: catch our attention quickly and make their point very clearly in 3 to 4 seconds. But it's not just billboard advertising that does this. Internet ads and magazines also do this. And the good news is that we can use this technique to keep our audience's attention on us while making our point with a presentation slide. Let's look at some examples and let's give them 3 to 4 seconds to see if they can catch our attention and make their point clearly in that time. This ad makes its point really quickly. Weet-Bix is cheap and good fuel for breakfast. Let's look at another example. This slide is pretty clear about weight loss being easy. No problems getting that in 3 to 4 seconds. Here's another example. This slide does a couple of things. It makes its point really quickly, but it also adds emotion. Our eyes are naturally drawn to a human face. In this case, it's a little girl, and that stirs some emotion when mixed with the safety element of the nutritional content of the cheese. It does both things. It gets our attention and makes a very clear point that sticks with us. So we can use the billboard test to do two things: grab our audience's attention and make our point quickly and clearly in 3 to 4 seconds, which gets the attention back onto us, and we can continue with our presentation to inform, persuade, educate or entertain. But what about slides that are not simple? Slides that need to be more detailed to explain process or technology or complex ideas. Well, the good news is we can still present them in a way that passes the billboard test and meets the elements of the suit model. And we'll discuss these techniques in a later video using multiple slides, slide builds and slide animations. But first, in the next few videos, we'll talk about how to use text, images, tables and charts to support your message, grab your audience's attention and make your point quickly and professionally. Now let's start with how to use text and words on slides in the next video.